Thank you, Tracy, and I have the privilege of introducing one of our fellow members. Jim Gorrie is CEO of Brasfield and Gorrie LLC and a longtime friend and associate and business friend that we have worked with for almost 40 years. Jim graduated from Auburn in 1984 with a Bachelor of Science in Building Science, and he has been working for Brasfield and Gorrie since his high school days and came in with his dad, Miller Gorrie, who absolutely is one of the finest people in our business. And Jim had a challenge, because I did it myself, of coming into a family business and absolutely making the most of it. He's done a marvelous job of leading Brasfield and Gorrie, taking over as president in 1995 and assuming the role of CEO in 2010. And during that period of time, Brasfield and Gorrie has grown tremendously, and part of it is Jim has done a great job of surrounding himself with really good people. And I think we'll find out how important that is, particularly to Birmingham. Jim has grown Brasfield and Gorrie with the core still remaining in Birmingham, and you'll see their name and their buildings all over our community, as well as 13 offices around the Southeast and basically every state in the Southeast, from North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Texas, and of course, Alabama. Jim has led Brasfield and Gorrie to become one of the largest general contracting companies in the United States, and certainly a great representative of our community. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Jim Gorrie.
Thank you very much, Chip, and it's great to see everybody as I look around the room. A lot of friends, a lot of just a lot of memories in the room, and great memories, and it's fun to see everybody, and it's fun to be here. I'm sorry I haven't been as regularly in my attendance as I should, but we've been running pretty hard lately, and but I do love coming, and I especially enjoy coming to hear more of the stories about the companies in our city. There's some wonderful stories, and to me, that's what it's all about. And for Brasfield and Gorrie, so I'm going to just spend my time primarily telling you of kind of where we are and what we're doing, and hopefully share a few things that you may not know about Brasfield and Gorrie. But milestones and consistency over time is something that we really emphasize, and just the milestone of turning 60 is a big deal to us. My father bought Mr. Brasfield's business in 1964, and he just started a journey that has evolved, and I'm not going to, obviously I don't have time to walk you through a whole lot of it, but I do want to just share with you a few of the data points, and then we'll kind of tell you where we are today. But basically, Mr. Brasfield was a small commercial builder in Birmingham, Alabama, and my father had worked for a couple of different contractors in Birmingham. Back in the old Hugh Daniel era, there were an awful lot of contractors in Birmingham, and per capita, Birmingham to this day is rich with talented and great companies, some have represented in this room, and it's one of the industries that sometimes gets overlooked in our community, but through the original Daniel roots, Brasfield and Gorrie and a lot of other contractors have come from that history. It basically was my father, along with Mr. Brasfield's secretary, Miss Imogene, and that's basically the way it started. And soon thereafter, there became a couple other key people into our organization that frequently get credited with being the 5 founders of our company, of which we talk about a lot internally. I'm just going to share with you a little bit of how the company has grown. I'm not going to walk you through too much of this period, but the first year the company did less than $1 million in revenue. So my father basically has always adopted a platform of, if you have really good people, you have to give them a place to grow. And it's just that simple. And so that has been unchanged for 60 years. It gets a little harder when you're 5 billion, but it's still, to this day, it drives us. And that if we don't, either we don't have people ready to take on leadership and therefore we're comfortable within our own skin, or if we do have the right people, we're willing to step out there and try to figure out how to connect that opportunity or find that opportunity for the outstanding people. So this chart basically shares with you and shows you some of the trajectory that we've been on, and this year we're projecting to do just over $6 billion, and it's made up of, and I'm going to show you kind of what makes that up, but it completely gets back to just that philosophy of growth. This slide basically is where I live. This is what I largely feel like is my job as the keeper of the culture, the helping establish vision of where we're trying to go and things we're trying to think about. And so the purpose or vision statement of our company is extremely important to me. It's something I talk to every new employee that comes in our company. And it's completely focused on the people. It's just like we want them to know there's a growth opportunity. We want to sincerely let them know we want them to be with us for the long haul. And to do that, the magic sauce of not only having a great person, but is to connect them and to create these horizontal relationships all throughout our company. So when you have the great people and you have the trusting relationships, you get to build some neat buildings. But finally, and that's where this room comes into play, we strongly believe that you need to build strong communities. So that's at the top of the pyramid for me. I think you'd be hard pressed to find too many organizations in Birmingham where somebody isn't connected to Brasfield and Gorrie, and it's something that we believe in. We want the community to be better. We want to be involved with it. We want to be a catalyst for it, and we quite frankly, we want to be that in all 15 of our offices. We want that to exist. The values that you see here are something that we also share and talk a lot about, because we want to make sure there's alignment within people's personal values and our corporate values, and we discuss that a lot. And so safety, performance, integrity, respect, innovation, and teamwork are something that drive conversations daily. They form a backbone for our strategic planning, and the acronym of those values spells spirit. And so we use our spirit values as a way to discuss it, and something we talk about almost every day. The foundation statement of our company is something we did about 10 or 15 years ago, and I think it's important because it really speaks to what the founding generation of our company did. If I could clarify, my father, Mr. Harbison, Mr. Anthony, Mr. Darnell, all those folks, they live by the motto is you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and you're going to live by the golden rule. I've heard it a million times from my father, from my boss, from everybody I worked with, that we're going to do the right thing and we're going to treat people like we want to be treated. The other, it was added a couple of years ago about being true builders, and that's just because we embrace the notion of being self-perform oriented in our construction. We think it's important. If you're going to be a good contractor, you also have to be a good builder. You have to do a lot. You have to understand how all the pieces come together, and when needed, you have to put them together. And if you have both of those aptitudes, it makes for a better solution. Our employees, having controlled growth is important. Growth, as I said, is what we're all about. And so this just shows, even with the more vertical revenue growth, we've been methodically growing our capabilities from our employee base, both white blue collar jobs all along the way. And we see that trend continuing. So what do we look like as we sit here in 2024? This chart just shows a couple of data points, and the only comments I would make about this, over the years, I have the opportunity to share a little bit of our story, and the average job size for Brasfield and Gorrie used to be I remember always talking about it being $5 to $10 million, and now you can see it's grown to about $45 million would be the average project size. So that's different. But what's interesting is on the bottom half of that slide, on the far right, 51% of our projects are 10 million or less. So we have over 200 projects actively that might be considered in that smaller range, and so that is something that we're always willing and capable of doing, are small projects. A lot of times people don't think that happens because they just see us for the far left, which are the $100 million type projects. We have 52 of those going right now, and so that keeps that takes a lot of the focal time of a lot of people because of the risk associated with those jobs. But I think it's important to know that we try to be able to service small, medium, and large construction opportunities. This slide just shows and helps you understand where we operate. So the marks are our offices, and those are the places where we have full service permanent offices, and for the most part have had those for a while. After Birmingham, it wasn't until the mid-'80s when we did Atlanta and Orlando, and then they started kind of layering in after that as the people and as our folks wanted to grow. So incrementally, we've kind of fanned out from Birmingham, and you can kind of see how that fits with this map. This shows the dark blue are where we have worked before, but we're not currently working. So we've worked in most states, but not all. And we're currently working in the light blue states. I saw Ben over there. We don't do any international work. So this is our territory. The only international work we do is in Miami. So these are the types of jobs that we do. There's 15 different market sectors, and each sector we have teams in each of the 13 offices, I said 15, 13 offices that are working these different sectors. And so most offices have people with this specific experience in their offices. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you one page on each one of them, and I'm not going to spend any time on it, but I tried to share and show you a local photograph. So for some of you who are newer to Birmingham, hopefully these photos will give you a feel for some of the projects we've done locally. So in aerospace, this is down at Airbus, something that we've done, and the right is the test stand up at Redstone. Commercial, that's what we were really established for. That's what Mr. Brasfield did. He was a small commercial builder, and that was a big part of our company. So that goes back to day one. This would be Encompass's headquarters out at Liberty Park, but a lot of the office buildings you see around town. Education, UAB has been a huge part. This is the School of Business, but there's probably 50 projects down at UAB we've done over the years. UAB has been a wonderful partner, and they're just such an important part of our community, and I can't imagine where Birmingham would be without UAB. Energy, power is a huge market. Now this is one of the real growth areas right now as people are trying to solve where is all the power that's going to come that's going to run all these data centers and AI facilities. There's a reconciliation that's going to have to happen, and we're going to have some challenging times ahead. This is a picture of Lake Martin when we were doing the replacement of the abutments on the dam, but we do all different types of power generation. Government, the federal government is huge, largest by far of any potential client that we could have, but you have to kind of know where you fit and where you don't fit. We've found our niche within a few branches. We do a lot of federal courthouses. Most of the courthouses under construction, we're probably doing 75% of those around the country. This is this was the first major one we did here in Birmingham, the Hugo Black Courthouse. That was the first job I worked on as an assistant project manager for Jim Nevins. We were talking about earlier, and that was a real neat job, and I spent a lot of times at Pete's Hot Dogs down there and just seeing everybody downtown. That was a fun couple of years. Healthcare, there's a lot of good healthcare builders in Birmingham, and we enjoy having the opportunity. We've worked for St. Vincent's and Medical Center East since 1969, and so that's been our oldest relationship, and we've enjoyed doing a lot of work up on the hill, and that's just one of the examples of that. Hospitality, hotels are a big part of what we do. It's an interesting market, different than the multifamily, because you don't have any tenants. You don't know for sure how the hotel or the hospitality market is going to be received, but that's been a really good market for us, and that's down there at City Walk, the Westin. Industrial, manufacturing, all things industrial. Milo's Tea, and on the right, Birmingham Coke United have been wonderful clients for a long period of time. We have enjoyed working with them all around the Southeast. Infrastructure, roads, bridges. This has become a big part of what we do. A lot of y'all remember the 37-day bridge when the tanker hit the interstate, 15 years ago, whenever that was. And then, lo and behold, it happened again a year later. We got to do it all over again. So those were interesting times. And it was a really, even though the jobs were pretty small, they were probably a $4 or $5 million job. When we think of experiences with our teammates and going down to that bridge, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, everybody doing everything they could to get those bridges back open. A lot of good memories. My father, Mr. Morris, and all the folks that were in town were trying to figure out how to get that open back up, and that was pretty neat. That's the same group now that's doing all kind of stuff all over the Southeast. We're doing the West Alabama Highway from Demopolis to Mobile and Tuscaloosa. So there's a lot of our infrastructure capability, which was really started with the emergency bridges here, but now they do a tremendous amount of work all over the Southeast. Data centers are the hottest market by far in the industry. Not so much in Birmingham. You don't hear it like you would if you lived in Atlanta or Dallas or some of the other cities, and especially up and around Washington, D.C. These data centers are massive. A data center job is $500 million to $1 billion worth of in-place construction, and they're just extremely technical. They're 24/7 kind of things, and when they go, they go. And this is DC Blocks over in Titusville. We did that facility for them, and that's one of the few here in town, and it's an amazing facility. But I'm telling you now that they're 10 times this size, and it's the biggest challenge right now that the data centers have is who's going to allocate power for them. And so as you read the national press, that's where I kept saying this generation reconciliation. When you have the environmental people trying to shut down so many places where power can be produced, and you have wars, and you have all these other things, and you have this incredible demand for artificial intelligence. Those don't all sync up and line up. So it's going to be really interesting. And I think the place you're going to see a tremendous amount of investment is in gas-fired turbines. You're going to see natural gas be probably a big part of the solution, and they'll be popping up everywhere. Everybody talks about other types of facilities, but you can't, there's not enough real estate to put windmills to even make a dent in the demand. So I don't know exactly how they're going to allow it to happen, but there will be a lot of discussion in the next few years on power generation to sync up with the mission critical. And I do think Alabama is going to receive consideration for some of these mega plants and facilities, because Georgia, quite frankly, can't handle them anymore. The Plant Vogtle built these two massive nuclear reactors that cost however many billions of dollars. And somebody told me that if you look at those two reactors, they're using one of them for data centers, so it's just phenomenal if you start to, if you really could imagine what that looks like. Multifamily, I think everybody can appreciate, everybody's been around and seeing the enormous amount of apartment construction across the Southeast, where we all operate. Apartments are going up everywhere. Birmingham is seeing it. Every major city is seeing multifamily everywhere. This is Park 35 down by the Holland Golf Course by our offices. It's a very nice facility, and you're seeing that. And I think the trend still is there. I think the demand is there. The interest rate is the challenge. At the interest rate, Nelson's not giving. They're not turning loose money, and so their need to have 40-50% equity in a project is kind of putting a little damper on that. So the demand is there. I would, it's just like senior living. You'll see these type of facilities kind of back in, more. I think this is just a slow lull until the interest rates come back down, and that's not Nelson's fault. Science and tech. Life sciences is a really interesting thing, and I think Southern Research, Hudson Alpha, Alabama is well positioned. I mean, we're nowhere near what the research RTP in Raleigh is, but we are well positioned, and I hope that we will see more life sciences built in our neighborhood, because we need to leverage our most important research and resource, which is UAB. Birmingham needs this industry, and we need to devote the energy to figure out how to promote and develop it and the technologies that go with it. So I hope we'll see more of it. It's an interesting sector to be in. A lot of labs, a lot of high-tech stuff, but this is the one we're doing right now down at Southern Research. First new building on that campus in probably 50 years. It's exciting to see. It took us 30 years to figure out how to take the castle down, but sorry for all the castle lovers in the room. Senior living. Senior living is here to stay. A lot of that, this is Summerby down by Sanford. Birmingham has a lot of nice facilities. There's a lot to that, with all the different services now and the continuum of care that people have as they age. And it's something I'm starting to think about. Sports and entertainment. It's a fun area this is a fun space to play in, because it's everybody enjoys and relates to this. The new field down at Protective Field was a fun project to do. It took it was a lot of work that happened in a short period of time, and one that we were proud to be associated with. On the right, you see the Brave Stadium. That was a very exciting, unique project, as you can imagine, and that also had a very robust schedule, and it really put us on the map to do a lot more in the sports and entertainment field. We're doing more and more of that every year, so this is a big sector for us. A very exciting sector that a lot of y'all probably don't know much about, waste and water treatment. And this is, Valley and Village Creek and Cahaba, a lot of the plants around Birmingham we've touched and been a part of. And they're extremely important. And, trying to stay ahead of water and wastewater challenges are important. We got behind the 8 ball 20 years ago, just like Jackson, Mississippi is behind the 8 ball now. You have to take these seriously. We're just finishing a $300 or $400 million job in downtown Nashville because they were behind the 8 ball. You just you take it for granted until you've exhausted your capacity. Putting all those together, we put all our 15 market sectors into 6 buckets, which we call commercial, federal, healthcare, industrial, aerospace, infrastructure, and then mission critical. And basically, this just illustrates that all of our sectors are kind of growing similarly, or something we look at. To have a growth platform, it's extremely important that we have this diversification, because right now, if we were depending on apartments and office buildings, we would be in a world of hurt. And there are a lot of people in our space that are struggling right now because they're more focused. It's great in the good times, but obviously it's really a challenge in times like today. But because of the diversification right now, we're highly involved in these sectors. That there are a lot of them that are not interest rate sensitive, and we're busier today than we've ever been. So where are we going next? I'll just share, even though Ben's in the room, I'll go ahead and tell him. Our focus is really on Texas and Florida. If you think about those markets and how big they are, and we're just a gnat. And like in Atlanta, we're bigger than a gnat. And if we have so much opportunity for growth. The state of Texas is bigger than all of our other markets combined. I mean, that's about geographically and population-wise. So Texas is a real logical place for us to continue to expand. So you'll see, we'll continue to see more arrows pop up in Texas. We're in Florida, we're in Miami, Orlando, and Jacksonville. I think we'll be in Tampa, and we're working in Tampa, and we'll probably have an office there in the next few years. So those two markets, and in Texas, all we are in, even though we work in most of the cities, we're just in Dallas. And so to open up a new office, there's a lot of brain damage that goes with that. And so we will be working through how and when those expansions take place. The near term for growth, federal, the opportunities in federal are extensive. Infrastructure, population is growing, whether it's water treatment, whether it's roads and bridges, whatever, that market's going to continue, and it lends itself to the true contractor type work that we like to do. Mission critical, all those things. But there's also just emerging markets. We never would have thought to pursue battery plants 10 years ago, or we never would have assumed some technologies that, now people are talking about small nuclear plants, or just all kind of new wave of technology. So we try to understand those, and if possible, if you can get in on the front end of some of those, then obviously that would be a pretty strategic decision. I want to mention this one initiative because we're talking to Birmingham friends, and it's something that I think is extremely important for Birmingham. Pylon Building Group is something we started a year and a half ago, and I hope you've heard of it. But if you haven't, Pylon is a wholly owned subsidiary of Brasfield and Gorrie, and it is intended to be a minority owned and controlled company that will be spun out of Brasfield and Gorrie in the next year or two. The reason we're doing this is we've been involved with the Construction Industry Authority, Michael Bell's organization, and others before Michael, since the lawsuit was settled with the AGC. I think it was in like '87. My father was the first chairman of the BCIA. Chip's here. Chip and I have both chaired that organization. And we tried everything we know to do to continue to mentor and to help and to participate in the program, which I think is an important program that we should invest in, and which is to allow private-public partnerships to try to raise more capacity within the minority community. That being said, we have worked and worked, but we have not produced the fruit that I wish we would have. I'm not going to take credit for the wins or the defeats. I just think if you look at it subjectively or objectively, Birmingham deserves to have more people in that space. And so we just said we were going to start one. And so Reggie Torbor, who had worked for us for the last 5 years in more of personal development, more in training and personal development, who a lot of y'all know, he played in the NFL. He's a superhuman being, but he it didn't grow up being a contractor. So over these 2 or 3 year periods, he is a wonderful leader of people, and he is going to become the leader and the owner of this organization. And the goal will be to spin it out completely where there is no relationship with Brasfield and Gorrie. Because if there is, what have we really created besides another division of Brasfield and Gorrie? And that's not the intent. We want to hold out a wonderful example of how we can grow a business together. So that being said, and I will tell you, we have a lot of good friends who are in the space. We've talked to the contractors that are in the space. Brian Hamilton, who owns A.G. Gaston, who's a friend, and he's an advisor to us on this project. I asked Brian, I said, how much is, this was 2 or 3 years ago. We've been talking about it for 5 or 10 years. But I said, Brian, how big is A.G. Gaston? The year I asked him, and it wasn't that long ago, he said $7 million. And that's like if it wasn't the largest, it's one of the largest minority construction companies in Birmingham or the state, $7 million. So Pylon's going to do about $25 million this year. And I will tell you, I'm excited about it because I don't know whether it's not going to change the world, but it's something we can tangibly do. And I am, I'm just encouraged by it and the way that they're doing it. And Reggie, if you've ever been around Reggie, he's not financially motivated. He's motivated by making a difference in young people's lives. And this is a perfect platform for both of those to come together. He told me a story when he was a kid, because he grew up in the projects in Baton Rouge. He said, when I grew up, the only thing people ever told me, the only way I'm going to get out of the projects is I got to either rap my way out or dribble my way out. And I've never forgotten that. And he wants, and we all hope that black or white, that people are shown a better way and a way that they can achieve and find success. So anyway, right now, if you do business with Pylon, you're helping Brasfield and Gorrie. In 3 years, though, you're going to be helping a pretty cool project. And what we're trying to do is learn how to walk before we run. And so, right now they're located next to Hank Long's office up there on Claremont, and they'll hopefully the plan would be in the next year or two to have it completely independent and operating without the support or involvement. Well, I shouldn't say that. We'll do it. We'll do whatever we can to help them. And somebody says, well, you're creating your own competition. Well, if somebody thinks that our business is going to lack for competition, they're mistaken. I'm glad to see the contractors in the room. Regardless, we're going to have competition. I'd rather have good competition. I'd rather have competition that are headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama than Atlanta. I want the money they make to stay in Birmingham, period. Everybody else can go home. That's Reggie on the left. And the other thing, if I were to leave with a point or two I want y'all to know about is this is something we don't talk about much. Ben, close your ears. But the Gorrie Legacy Trust is something we started 6 years ago. Basically, it was a way for us to continue the company for as long as we can envision it. And so the trust can last 400 years. I can't envision it quite that long. But I can get 50 or 100 years in my brain. And that's what we want Brasfield and Gorrie to be around for. So we created a trust to, in essence, control the company and the future of the company. And the Gorrie Legacy Trust basically says that Brasfield and Gorrie will never be sold. Brasfield and Gorrie will never move its headquarters from the Birmingham area, and that the principles that we've been founded on will never change. To the extent they do, then those other dominoes could change. But so it can be, the only way it would ever be sold is if it was a train wreck. Because when I started work, the primary competitors that I was experienced with and got to know before Daniel even, after Daniel, most of those companies don't exist anymore. Our industry it's a very hard industry to transition from generation to generation. And so we've already transitioned our company to the third generation of leadership. And so the people who are in my generation, which the second generation, most of my friends and Chip's friends, a lot of our friends have already either retired or are retiring in the process of some sort. And it's amazing. Every year we keep seeing that the company letting the people who are more talented than us, that have more energy than us, that are ready to go and take the next step. It's been fun to see, and so the trust. There's just a few people that sit on the trust, but that's their job. Basically, it's not to run the company. I'm soon to be less of a CEO and more of a trust. I don't know what they're going to call me because my father keeps telling me chairman's already taken, so you'll have to figure something else out. So I think I might be vice chairman of the trust, or maybe I can be senior executive vice president once removed. I don't know, but I'll start spending my time working with the trust because at this point, what's more important than creating, when we think about the impact of Birmingham, what we want to do is see companies, and we want to use the proceeds of the trust, because part of what the trust is there is to ensure that all those things happen. But the trust is also an opportunity to be a funding source, not only for our company and internally helping us with certain strategic things, but the purpose of the trust can also be very philanthropic too in the future. Drew, y'all stay away right now, okay? Just stay away give us a break, give us a chance to get where we want to build to. But we do hope that the Legacy Trust is something that in 10 or 15 years will be a major part of the philanthropy, and that's what Birmingham so desperately needs. I mean, when I look around and I see Regions Bank and I see UAB and I see a lot of other great companies that are represented, but in my 40 years of working, I've seen more leave than have come in, and I've seen a lot of great young companies, but we need to create Birmingham-based success stories, and we just need it in the worst way. Birmingham's going in a really good direction. I'm super excited about it, and we're in it for the long haul. But and I don't mind that we're not. I'm glad we're not Atlanta, all that stuff. But we do need to continue to find people that are willing to make Birmingham their home, invest it, and help lead the city and do. Because I do believe that the corporate community is what's going to. I mean, we're not going to be a great company because of our elected leaders and our nonprofit folks. We have wonderful of both, but if we don't have a strong corporate community, we're just going to struggle like there's never, and so we just got to we can't lose that. And I know I'm not knocking any other part, but I think that's extremely important. Leadership and culture is what we weave throughout all our stuff, and I just have a slide or two that talks about this because it's all about investing in people. So leadership and culture is really important. Our values or spirit, as I told you, the acronym. We're coming up in a week or two to have Spirit Week. We'll have a big deal with Spirit Week. We have a big time, and we do a lot of stuff to reinforce Spirit Week. In the fall, we do our Impact Week. That's something that all 13 offices, we do an awful lot of stuff. This was just in the Birmingham office. Last year was the first year we formalized it, and we had a United Way campaign that was significantly higher than we'd ever had before, and we were excited to do that. And we also made a gift for the endowment last year, which was really important. So, and then my last slide is just with our 60th celebration, and if people are the most important thing, we invited every one of our employees to come to Birmingham this summer for our birthday party. So June 22nd, we've invited 4,000 people to come to Birmingham. So right now, we're expecting 3,000 people to be in Birmingham that weekend. It's not quite like driving by Talladega, but if you're coming downtown, I warn you, you will see a lot of B&G folks, and Vince Gill will be playing for us at the Civic Center. We got 3,000 folks, and he told the Eagles he had to skip that night and come play with us. And so that'll be a lot of fun, but it's a big celebration, a big milestone. And so it's also given us a chance to kind of tell our story. So we appreciate y'all inviting us to give you an update on kind of what's going on with Brasfield and Gorrie. And I know we're getting close to the hour, so I'll just stop there and just say thank y'all for having me, and I appreciate y'all putting up with this presentation. Tracy asked me if I'd take a question or two. I forgot I had this slide. We have done some history books. These are extremely popular. The world, top New York's bestseller. If you want a B&G turn 60, or if you want one when we turn 50 that Leah wrote, we got a lot of those still left too. I want to thank some of our partners who are in the room. These are just a few of the local partners. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. And the most important partner of all, the Kiwanis Club.